Hey, what's up everyone? Today I wanted to make a starter deck Red Purple Law for OP04 before OP05 comes out, because we're gonna have like a month to play with this deck before OP05 comes out, so I decided to make a deck list for it before OP05. Anyways, let's get into it. So we've got Red Purple Law. Activate main once per turn, Dawn -3, return one of your opponent's characters with 3000 power or less to the bottom of their deck, then play one 4 cost or lower character from your hand. Now, this leader effect is nasty for so many reasons. For one, it bypasses on KO effects. For two, it's 3000 power or less. For three, it's just -3 Dawn, which can be used after expending all of your Dawn in the turn. And for four, it plays a 4 or lower cost from your hand. Are you kidding me? So yeah, this deck's insane. I think this is a really cool list for it. That being said, if you go 0-4 at locals with it, not my fault. You should have played better. Anyways, let's get into it. So we've got 4 Otama, 2k counter, plus, well, you're not really using her as a 2k counter in this deck especially, but on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2000 power this turn. Works really good, so you're effectively sending any 5000 or less power with just Otama to the bottom of the deck at the end of every turn. We got 4 Namis just because she's a Straw Hat Searcher. There's a lot of Straw Hats in this deck. She's going to be removed with the inclusion of the OP05 cards because there's just not really enough room for her, but for now she's a really good substitute. 3 Nico Robins. You could use Beppo instead if you want to, but there's not a Hard Pirate Searcher yet either because of no OP05 cards. So anyways, Robin, Dawn, X1 when attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3000 power or less. So usually you want to KO with Law's effect, but if there's multiple bodies on board, then you want to use one to get rid of, use a Robin to get rid of the other one. Really, really useful for just completely annihilating your opponent's board every single turn. The way I kind of play the deck is, I have some blockers, here and there. Queen is mostly used to filter out cards in your hand, but the way I kind of play is I eliminate my opponent's whole board every single turn, ideally, and then I let my life become blockers, basically, and hopefully I can attack with more bodies than they do fast enough and swing for game before they do. That is kind of my mentality with the deck, so Robin works really good at KOing the other bodies on the field as well. We've got Brooke, Dawn X1 when attacking, give up to 2 of your opponent's characters -2000 power during this turn. Insane effect, can be played out of the hand with Law's effect after you KO something. Really, really good. -2000 power to do for two different things is very strong. We've got 3 Rush Zoro just because he can be played out of the hand for another rush immediate attack, and he's just a really good card. Could easily be substituted, but I think this card is even going to remain in the deck going forward. So we've got 4 Dadan, which I think is a pretty good choice given that we don't have the OP05 cards yet. So she searches a 1 cost red, which is going to be Otama, Nami, Gordon, and Chopper. Having a card that can search Gordon or Otama in this deck is really, really strong. It feels really stupid when you're just like, it'll be good right now? A Gordon. And then you plop down the Dadan and she finds one and you're like, oh, nice. 1 Vista just because on play KO is really strong. Especially against some matchups, like maybe, I don't know, Sugar or some card like that, Uda. Cards that you don't necessarily want to attack into in KO. But that being said, Law can just kind of get rid of them as well. So Vista is just like a kind of emergency KO if you need it for any reason. We've got 2 Ace, because on play -3000 to do different things is insanely strong. And then he doesn't get the rush effect, unfortunately, but he's still really, really strong in this deck because -3000 on play with a 7k body on board is insane. We've got 4 Gordon because he's really stupid. Activate on main, bottom deck this card, and give one of your opponent's characters -3000 power during this turn. Side note, he can attack a small body and then use his effect as well. So just, you can get an insane amount of value from this card just being on the board. Sometimes if it's turn 1 and I know they're not going to rest or KO him, like let's say I'm playing against, not yellow, I don't know, green turn 1, they're not really going to have a lot of ways to deal with the Gordon immediately, so I'll just summon him immediately and then be able to KO anything that they summon the next turn immediately. So I just said immediately like 7 times there, I'm sorry. We've got 4 Chopper blockers just because he's a level 1, can be searched by Dadan, searched by Nami. Good trash blocker to just throw out there, good distraction as well. Also protects stuff like Robin, stuff like Brooke, recurring threats that will be a problem for them every single turn. We've got 4 Jinbei. Dawn X1 when attacking gave up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power for this turn. So it's a mini Brook, it only targets 1 instead of 2, and it's a 2k counter, and it's not really used to swing at life because he only has 2,000 power unfortunately, but he can do well at cleaning up those little guys on the field, which is really nice. We've got 2 Queen. You know, you could probably play the OP05 Kid instead, that's probably a lot better, but for now we've got Queen to cycle through our hand a little bit, and it's also a 6k blocker, which is always nice. The thing I don't love about it is the Dawn -1. I don't love to minus Dawn at all in this deck. You kind of want to keep as much as possible on the field as long as possible, because some turns you're going to use Law's leader ability back to back, then you're going to be running short on Dawn, and if you use a Queen that turn at the same time, then you're going to be really, really low. So I use this card sparingly. At the more often times than not, it's a 1k counter in my hand. We've got 4 Sachi and Penguin. On play, if there are 3 or less Dawn on your field, you may add up to 2 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set them as rested. Really, really good. This is the card that you're going to want to play out of your hand with Law's effect more oftentimes than not to replenish your Dawn. Otherwise, you know, if you use Law's effect turn 2 and you have 3 Dawn exactly, you're removing all of them. Next turn you'll get 2 Dawn left. You won't be able to use this effect again. If you summon Penguin and Sachi, you will be able to use it 2 times in a row, and then you could even use it 3 times in a row because of the 2 Dawn that you'll be getting the next turn. Beppo, really insane card on play and when attacking. If the number of Dawn cards on your opponent's field is greater than the number of Dawn cards on your field, add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck rested to your cost area. So he's always going to be useful on play and when attacking because you're almost always going to have less Dawn than your opponent. So every single turn when you're attacking, you're plussing a Dawn, which is really nice. It's a really, really good replenish. If he was searchable in any way, which to my knowledge at the moment he isn't, but if he was searchable, that would be really, really, really nice and strong. I believe in OP05 he will become searchable, but for now we just have to hopefully rely on drawing him. You really want to see him. He's really strong. The opponent almost always focuses their attacks onto him immediately, so he kind of becomes a blocker as well. Love to see this card, and I love Beppo in general, so really, really good. Replenishes your Dawn. Yeah, TLDR. We have Run Roundtable. It's kind of the emergency button. On main, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 10,000 power during this turn. So if you use this in conjunction with Law's leader ability, you can KO. Or actually not KO, you can bottom deck any single card in the game, which is really useful, and I have used this card quite a few times. I thought about bumping it up to 2, but I think that would just be a little bit too much. We've got 1 Radical Beam and then 1 Guard Point, which is the Radical Beam that we have at home, because we can't have 2, unfortunately. This could be Blast Breath, but I picked Guard Point just because it's searchable, and Blast Breath minus does Dawn, which I don't love. So that's the deck list. Basically, you're just trying to diminish your opponent's board over and over and over and over and over again, and don't let them play the game. So with all that being said, let's get into the gameplay. Okay, going into the gameplay here, my opponent does choose to go second, so I'm forced into the first slot. I have Gordon in my hand, but I don't choose to put it down just in case he could potentially KO it, and I just pass to him. He uses Sakazuki's effect to draw a card and trash one. Trashes Marine Ford, which is an interesting choice. I guess he figures he doesn't need it because I have a bunch of low cost in this deck, which, fair enough. Going into the next turn, I'm going to attach 3 and swing for 8, intending to get life, and then I'm going to just pass because there's nothing else I can do once again because he didn't play any cards. It's an interesting thing some people do against this deck. They'll intentionally not play any cards, which, funnily enough, just ends up being better for you in the long run because it allows you to keep as many resources as you want. Maybe he didn't have anything, who knows. But he goes into 3 cost Flamingo, and he's gonna set up his next 5 draws, I guess. Yep, places cards on top. And I'm gonna guess with that 1 Dawn left, he's going to attach to Sakazuki and swing 6, to which I will probably take. Saru's too valuable, Otama's too valuable in the hand to get rid of, and the reason to pitch 2 1Ks for anything like that. He actually ends... oh no, he swings 6 with Sakazuki and ends turn. Okay. I play Nami here and get a 2-cost Jinbei. Also play down the Otama to go -2 to Dofi. And then I swing 7. Actually, I choose to return the Dawn first, yes. A KO, or actually bottom deck the Dofi first. Play the Brook out of my hand, and then I'll swing 7 so that he doesn't get the free block. Almost made a really stupid mistake there. Put Brook out on the field. Now I have another means of attack reduction on the board for next turn, along with 2 Gordons in my hand. Honestly, if you see this hand, you win. Like, I don't really think there's a deck that can play against a hand like this. Gordon is way too broken. It's so ridiculous. 1 cost -3k is just silly, and it doesn't even go in your trash. It goes back into your deck if you can cycle through. You probably won't, but there's a potential that could happen. Really, really silly card. And paired with Brook or Jinbei or Otama, it pretty much makes you unstoppable. So he does use Sabo here, but that could be a misplay depending on what his hand's looking like. Maybe he just wanted to get a blocker out, but the thing about Sabo is he's not protected because Law doesn't KO, he bottom decks. So I think he played Sabo with the intention of avoiding the leader effect next turn, and he is going to be sadly mistaken here, unfortunately. So I go ahead and play the Gordon, bottom deck him to go -3k to Sabo. And I attack 5 at life. He takes with Sabo, which is fine. I can't play a character for free now, but I also don't have to -Dawn, which is good for me again. So like a lot of the times they'll feel pressured to just use it with the like intention, they think you're going to intend to KO it regardless, so they'll just waste the blocker anyway immediately when they don't really need to. So it's just like you play a lot of mind games against your opponent with this deck, which is very interesting. He plays a Borsellino and bottom decks my cost reduction or attack reduction Brook. And he uses Sakazuki's effect to draw a card and trashes 3,000 worlds and swings 6 to life. I take, pick up a Nami from the life, which is always good to see. Top deck a Beppo. Nami gets Chopper. Just kidding, Jinbei. Now I don't think I can KO that Borsellino this turn, but I can set it up to where I can get rid of him next turn with Jinbei. So I put Jinbei on the field, swing 8 to life, intending to take a life here. I don't think he's going to block or counter out of it, rather. So another thing I do with this deck is I intend to swing at your life every single turn. And I don't just mean in the sense that, you know, I'm trying to get you to waste a card or 2. I'm trying to get you to pick up a life card. I'm attacking with 7, 8, 9 with my leader every single time, if possible. I try not to hard play a lot of my cards, just to have a healthy hand. There's not a really big reason to, unless you need like multiple forms of cost reduction. But I've had this Gordon in my hand, for example, for the longest time. I'm really not worried about anything at the moment. And I set up the Jinbei. If he doesn't get rid of him, he probably doesn't see him as a huge threat, considering I don't have that much else on the board. And if he doesn't get rid of the Jinbei, then this Borsellino is getting sent to the bottom of the deck, without a doubt. Did he just use a Sanji's Pilaf? That was an interesting decision here. The Sanji's Pilaf does come out. He attaches 1 to Sakazuki and swings with Borsellino for 8. I chopper block. I was going to swing... Oh! Decides not to swing for 6. Not sure if he thought he already did. Not sure if he didn't want me to get the extra card. Probably should have regardless. Interesting decisions here coming out. Borsellino is rested, so Jinbei plus Gordon will be enough. I also picked up an Otama, which is just... things are getting real silly with this hand, if I gotta say so. Jinbei swings 3, which does nothing, and reduces Borsellino. Hard play Beppo. And then I play a Gordon. Bottom deck this Borsellino. And I'm gonna put out either Brook or Beppo. Should probably do Brook here. Having the cost reduction on board is always a bonus, and now he's basically forced to swing into Jinbei. Or he can't really play any cards, or he's forced to KO Jinbei, if possible. He's basically forced to swing into it. If he doesn't, he just kind of loses instantly. Suru comes out and reduces Beppo's cost by 2. He's definitely got a KO in hand because he set this whole thing up with Doflamingo. Twice, actually. Okay, another Suru comes out, so I'm assuming we've got a Lucci coming out here. Draws a card with Sakazuki's effect. Trashes a Sakazuki. He swings into Jinbei for 5. Yep, I knew he was going to be forced to do that. Jinbei's KO'd, and the Rob Lucci does come out, KOing both Jinbei and Brook, I believe. Yep. Or Beppo and Brook, sorry. Really good turn by my opponent there, but I think it's a little bit too little too late here. We'll see. So I hard play Beppo here into the Otama, reducing a Dofi. Play a Chopper Blocker, just for the extra safety. I'm gonna return 3 Dawn to bottom deck the Dofi, playing a Brook for the Otama. I'm gonna swing 7 at life. He's probably gonna counter out of it. He's gonna feel forced to, or block. Yep, there it is. Last blocker is dead so far, and we can definitely take care of another one if he summons one next turn. Unless it is Sabo or Borsellino, that might be a little bit more difficult. Activate Sakazuki's effect to draw a card, trashing Mihawk. Mihawk is not good here, so it makes sense. Monkey D. Garp comes out. Structure deck Garp, I believe. And he is going to more than likely KO something. Probably Brook. Yep. See ya, Brook. Another Garp comes out here. If he trashes that card from his hand, he lost. Okay, he trashes the card from his hand to KO Beppo. He has 1 card in hand. We have a guaranteed lethal. No Dawn up. No blockers. And we draw into an Otama, because that's the kind of game it's been. Swing 6 at life. I have no life cards left, but I have a guaranteed lethal here. So, just going to attach 4 to Dadan for the guaranteed 7 for life, and then 4 confirmed to Law for the guaranteed 9 at life, and that's going to be game, no matter what he has in his hand. I'm probably going to want to go first, just so I can start my shenanigans nice and early. I see Otama, Robin, Jinbei in my hand, and Sachin Penguin, so I'll keep that, and I'll pass to my opponent immediately. Never seen that card yet. Ooh. Interesting card. I'm probably just going to do 5 to life and then hard play Robin and pass. Worst case is he has Thunderbolt. But I want to start building my Dawn up a little bit before I start reducing it. I'm going to take hard play Sanji, which is nice. So I'm going to be able to KO 2 different things here. Going to go for Sanji first, I think. We're going to do Otama onto Sanji, KO with Robin, and then probably just KO one of the small ones, probably Pagaya with the leader effect. So we'll reduce, attack 5 to life, KO with Robin. We're actually going to do, okay, interesting. Oh, I see, he activated this card. Okay, well that changes what we're going to do a little bit here. So instead we're just going to do 5 to life again. And now we're going to play Otama into the Sanji, play Jinbei, Law Effect, KO Sanji, and play Penguin and Sachi for the Dawn boost and pass. We're off to a pretty good start here, if I'm being honest. Not a lot he can do. I'm going to counter out if he attacks into Robin. I'm going to at least force another attack into her, for sure. And if he doesn't fully commit, then she's staying on the board. And that's going to be a problem for him. I don't care if I have no cards in my hand. Plays Ohm, hits the Holy, and I will go ahead and draw. I can take out Holy here. I can take out actually Holy and Ohm here, which I'm going to do for sure. So we're going to go Jinbei, -3 to Holy, -2, sorry. And then we're going to ooh. No, I can't KO both of them actually, I misspoke. That's fine. I can still KO Holy, which is fine. Yeah, we'll just go Robin, 5 to life, KO Holy. And then we're going to do 5 at life. 5 at life again. And then we're going to hard play a Brook over Otama and pass. Could have Dawn reduced again and KO'd the Pagaya, but didn't feel like it. I kind of want to build up my Dawn a little bit. Maybe I'll draw into an ace or something. I like to have a little bit more Dawn sometimes. I found a common mistake I was making towards the beginning was just nuking my Dawn off my board over and over again, never letting it really build up. So he attacks 2 into Jinbei. I think I'm going to let it go through. If anything, I'll save Robin. But we still have Brook. Jinbei would be really good here, but we're not going to be able to save him regardless, so we don't bother. 6 into 5 here. If I counter out, he probably just attacks again. I'll save my counter for Robin, if anything. If he doesn't fully commit to the Robin, I'm going to save it for her. Because I think that's going to make it a problem for him. I'll trash my own. No problem. Draw into an Otama, so I can go -2, -4. She's at 4. Can't quite kill her, unfortunately. But we can do stuff about the other stuff. So, if you have 2 or less life, this character gains plus 1,000 power. So he's at 6, I believe. So we need to reduce him twice. So we'll go 6, reduce these 2 so I can attack into his 1k with Otama. Now we'll play Otama. We're going to do 7 to life with Robin, KOing this guy. And then we're going to go ahead and do 8 to life Probably not enough. Could be though. Oh, it was. Alright, good game there. Really did well against yellow actually. Not sure if it was the best player or the best deck by any means, but we did well regardless, so I'm happy about that.